Hey everybody. So we're back with some new training and really not so much new, but kind of a continuance of our goal training that we started a few weeks ago. And I wanted to continue our training and just continue the conversation maybe a little bit further. For those of you who saw the initial set of goal training, I had made reference to the fact that I had put that video together after a few attempts, because it was kind of heavy in terms of, on me personally, to get the message across in terms of how I personally set goals and what it means to me when I coach someone on goals. So I just wanted to continue the conversation a little bit further. This will be maybe a little bit shorter training again today. Again, when we start talking about goals, whether it be for you personally or for your teams, this is something we do a lot at Oxygen. So if you are looking to have someone to work with, whether it be an accountability partner or someone to really facilitate a set of goals that take you to another level, and not just a typical, oh, here we're going to set goals and this is a new year and things like that with your team. We do that often, and if I can toot our own horn here at Oxygen, so don't hesitate to reach out. We can do it from a stage and talk to your group or smaller teams, sales meetings, things like that. So don't hesitate to reach out. So it's funny how often you start to hear something when you realize what's going on, but it's December, and we are approaching the end of a decade. So it makes the New Year's resolution, which I had alluded to the fact that I don't necessarily set New Year's goals. I set consistent goals throughout the year. In fact, I like to pick just an arbitrary date to start new goals for myself, so I don't necessarily do the New Year's resolution thing. But we're approaching the end of a decade, which is crazy. I maybe have seen more of those than I want to admit to, but that's big. It's cool, right? 2020 has a lot of big things happening in my household, as I've talked about. But it's a big number. It doesn't matter where you're at in your life when the decade switches. It's a big thing. So I thought today I would give you a couple of things that I personally work towards every day. If you follow us on Instagram, specifically, I have put out a couple of things that I'm working on right now, and have challenged you to do it, or have given you some ideas on things that you can work towards in either Q4 or for a week, different things. And I think that one of the things that is important to talk about, lots of people have these big, giant, like, I want to lose 50 pounds, or I want to save $10,000, or I want to, big lofty goals. And those are great. I'm never going to discourage someone from having those goals. But I think that it's also super important to have some of the smaller ones and to celebrate the smaller victories, because those are the ones that keep us going. And I train on something called the tie game theory. So if you are one of our coaching clients, you have heard me talk about this theory, and you're going to hear a lot more about it in the new year. However, when we set ourselves up every day for the same, whether we're under a ton of pressure or not under a ton of pressure, we want the same results, that same consistent boiling pressure result that you will get from high performers, but without that, anxiety riddled side effect. We want to set smaller, kind of attainable pieces that we can just off the top of our head go, and get them. So these are some of the things that I do. Some of the ones that you've seen on Instagram have been kind of like a decluttering challenge, a water challenge. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. A thankfulness challenge, to tell people thank you for some of the things that they do. And a lot of them are set around a mindset, something that you're purposefully doing every day. Some of you may know, may not know. Again, if you're a coaching client, you know some of these things about me. That I coach young people. I coach high school athletes. Also, one of the many things that I do, and I love it because it gives me a great perspective on another generation and another piece of life, and how we can coach athletes, how we can coach younger kids, how, there's nothing better than a bunch of teenagers to tell you what they think about you, and how they're receptive to coaching, how they become coachable, how they change, how they become adults. And it's really interesting to me when you take athletes who are naturally driven, they're there because they want to be there, and give them a mindfulness task about how they are competing, because it changes how they function. No different than us as adults, although we groove in a different way. We have more ingrained habits when we become more mindful, even as about something as simple as saying thank you more often, or thanking people around us specifically a number of times a day more than what we normally would do. It changes certain things about our day. And if we're purposeful about realizing, hey, you know what, I said thank you 5 more times than I would have normally, and this about my day changed, it gives a completely different perspective. Now, I can't tell you how it's going to change your day, but you can notice how it will change your day. I can hedge bets that your day was probably better. You were probably more aware of things. I can hedge bets what will happen if you are purposefully drinking more water during the day. There's plenty of things that I can tell you that I suspect will happen. However, very rarely will I tell you what will happen, because I want you to be aware of what changes in your day as you purposefully make a small change. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, I'll give you a mindless plug here. OxygenEq is where you'll find us on pretty much every social media site out there. You will find challenges like that. And our hope is that as you find them that kind of tick in your brain, that you may get some value out of that you start to build the 4 or 5 things that you want to focus on, whether it be that week or that month or that quarter, to really build something that is going to be kind of the pebbles that will build your pyramid to success. And like I said, if you're going to declutter for a week, then at the end of the week, maybe you need to find it, then that's one of your 5 things. Then, at the end of the week, maybe you have to take that one off and add something else. If you can declutter in a week, then we should talk, because I want to know your skills. But whatever they are, if you're going to, increase your water intake, but you're already drinking, your complete body mass in water in ounces every week, but you're going to increase it for a week and then take it back and do something else, then that's fine. So those challenges are out there to kind of add to your recipe book, and we're always wanting to know more. So if you have ideas that work for you, then shoot them over to us, and we'll give you some props and some acknowledgement for those ideas. So that's kind of the background on it. So as we approach the end of this decade, I'm going to give you some ideas as to what I do. And these kind of come and go, but these are kind of the basics as to what I do every day. And if you have questions or want some more insight on them, then let me know, and I will be happy to elaborate. So the first one that I do, and I have done this for a little over 5 years, is I focus on anti-inflammatory. I'm a pretty significant migraine sufferer, and so every day I take some supplements that focus on anti-inflammation. Ironically, I got to listen to about an hour and a half long podcast. I didn't even know what it was. It just kind of popped up on my list of things yesterday that focuses completely on anti-inflammation and anti-aging. So it's one of the things that I do for myself every day. It is the kind of center of my nutrition and how I lost the majority of my weight when I started my weight loss journey. So if you have any inclination, if you're trying to make some changes in your just overall health and well-being and things like that, I would encourage you to look into anti-inflammation. And it's what I start my day with every day. If you saw any of the little people in my life, my kids or my significant other, they would all ask you or tell you that I drink a shake every morning, and that's what it's focused around. The next thing is my water intake. And this one, my athletes all know that I spend a ton of time focused on this. I drink a ton of water every day, which means I'm in the bathroom a lot every day. I drink my body weight in water in ounces in water every day, if not more. And typically, I'm done with that task before lunchtime. However, I continue to drink water all day long. I quit pop probably about 5 years ago, but I went to iced tea, and then iced tea just kind of went by the wayside, and I just drink a ton of water. So I believe it flushes out all the nastiness in your body, and the best way that I can combat thirst is with more water. So I'm a huge water advocate. Movement. So there are tons of people out there that tell you they got to put a number on it. You need 30 minutes. You need, whatever it is. I'll tell you that I was a hardcore runner for a lot of years. And then I had teenagers. And the best bit of advice that I ever got was from a client of mine, fantastic woman. She's, I absolutely love her to death. I was having a hard time with my kids at one point, and she said, put their coats on and take them for a walk when you're not getting along with them. And at that moment, that was probably the best advice that I had ever gotten in terms of just getting your endorphins moving. And then I used to take my conference calls while walking, and I would have the best thoughts while my body was moving. It's a little bit difficult to take notes, but yeah, so I'm a fan of movement, yoga, spinning, walking, running, anything every day. If you have followed me on Instagram for a long time, you know I do something called kitchen yoga, which means my Great Danes are involved. There's not a whole lot I don't do without my Great Danes. So yeah, movement every day. I think that there's a lot to be said for movement, and depending on what kind you're into, then that's your gig, and that's what you can do, and you can set goals around it and everything, but some kind of movement. The next one is my notebook, and we've talked about it in the past. We've got some things coming in 2020 to help with your notebook if you are a fan of them. My dad used to keep a paper calendar. I am a huge electronics user. I have all of that. I keep track of my kids. My kids share their calendars on my phone, all of that. I have an iPad, all of that. However, I keep a paper calendar, all the pretty tabs. For me, this is the best way to be able to go back, to pop it open and take notes with someone, to keep a personal connection rather than typing in my phone while I'm taking notes with someone, to be able to add paperwork in it, keep things chronological, things like that. So I am a notebook user. It's big, it's clunky. I've heard all the excuses about it, but if I have somebody that is looking for how I do it, this is it. I use the colored tabs to differentiate whether it's a personal, professional, athletic thing, and it's how I do it. If you're looking for some tips, we can talk about it. And like I said, in 2020, we've got some accents to help organize your notebook coming from Oxygen specifically. But that's another tip that I do. I also work in my finances every day. If you have ever heard of a book, there's a bunch of them out there, but how to be financially stable, or there's a couple of really great ones. Actually, I think this one's on my coffee table. this one I will suggest. One's called the Latte Factor. This one is Smart Women Finish Rich. There's also The Millionaire Next Door. Those would probably be my three top ones. But they all talk about, making sure that you've got money working for you in the quiet, in the background, and making sure that you're putting money away. So I work on my financial goals every day. They're right in front of my face. They're on the top of my calendar, all of those things. And then the last one for today that's really kind of in front of me every day is the thankfulness part. And I used to listen to this kind of thing and think, God, that is so cheesy. You have to be kidding me. And about 2 years ago, I got super heavy into my yoga practice. To be completely transparent, I had to have about 12 injections in my shoulder and neck because my tension was completely off the handle. And the only way they could do it to get my neck and shoulders to relax was to put injections in my neck. And so I had to find a way to chill out. And for a personality like mine, that's really hard to do. So, deciding that the stuff that I had worked for, not necessarily material things, but the things that I had worked for, space, time, some of it material, but the relationships that I had worked for, the relationships that I had worked to walk away from, my own personal sanity, the sacrifices that I had made, that I needed to be thankful for them, and it was worth it. So now I have to do that every day. Some of that I do in my yoga practice. And so from a movement perspective, some of it does overlap. But every day I have to decide that my own sanity is worth it and that I have to be thankful for the things that I have. I am a believer that sometimes you have to strip away everything in order to figure out what you're thankful for. There's been parts of my life where I've had everything I can imagine. And then there's other parts of my life where I haven't. And so you have to very quickly decide or remember that you can be at the top of the mountain and that you can be at the bottom of the hill. It very quickly crosses over to it's lonely at the top. And just because you have it all doesn't mean that you do have it all. And it gets real quick. So I think that thankfulness is your own version. Your version of thankfulness might not look anything like mine. It could just very simply start with saying thank you to extra people every day, and what you put out in the world will come back to you. It could mean just journaling it out and finding simple things every day that you're thankful for. But that is a part of every day for me. So that's kind of the long version. That is 6 things that every day it happen in my life. So my anti-inflammatory piece of my day is super, super important. Not only the shake, but the foods that I put in my body and the things that I expose myself to. The excessive amount of water that I drink is extremely important every day in my life. Movement, and purposeful movement, not just getting out of bed and going amongst my day, but sweating, running out of breath, all of those pieces, but purposeful movement. Keeping my notebook, paying attention to my financial goals and my financial landscape, where I'm at every day, and just being thankful for what I've got going on and what I have and what I'm capable of. So as we approach the end of the decade, I'm going to again encourage you to not wait until December 31st or January 1st, 2020 to start new. I'm going to encourage you to maybe pick a couple that work for you and start today, and decide that even today is worth it. Don't wait till tomorrow. Even 2 extra weeks of being thankful, or 2 extra weeks of water, or 2 extra weeks of decluttering will put so much more space between who you are or what you're capable of today and what you're capable of tomorrow. So the conviction it takes to be able to start today and then do it again tomorrow goes directly back to that tie game. You know, the score can be 0-0 today, and it can be 0-0 again tomorrow. So I just really encourage you to pick one thing today, pick one thing tomorrow. It's still better than the people who choose to do nothing. And these items that we're talking about here that I choose as a part of my kind of recipe book cost nothing. So thanks for listening. I'm so thankful for everybody who follows us and jumps on, comments, sends us personal messages, calls for coaching. We would not be the firm that we are without all of you, and I can't... I struggle to even put it into words, how thankful I am that we get to be a part of everyone's journeys. So thank you again for everything that we've done together and the part that you've allowed us to play in your lives and in your businesses. This won't be the last time we talk in 2019, but I'm excited to see what the end of 19 and the beginning of a new decade has for everyone in store. So I hope that everybody took a deep breath today, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a great day, everybody.